My hypothesis was that distilled water would be the best. It's basically a form of purified water, so that means it doesn't have any minerals or contaminants. My results were that distilled water was the best, and then bottled water, and then finally filtered and tap water.
I used red algae and green algae to fill the cups up with water at 85 degrees Fahrenheit, 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Because the green algae grew better in the room temperature water and the colder water, while the red algae grew better in the hotter water.
The materials I used were 3 different Band-Aid brands, simulated blood recipe. The results were that Top Care Health fabric bandages absorbed more than the other 2 brands.
Aerobic exercises are things like cardio, anaerobic exercises, weightlifting, push-ups, things that need like more strength to do. I used a pulsometer. It measures your heart rate. My hypothesis was supported. Aerobic exercises would affect the heart rate more.
Bounty, Sparkle, and Great Value. I thought that the Bounty brand would absorb the most amount of water. The average results, Bounty was 13 milliliters, Sparkle was 33 milliliters, and then Great Value was 14 milliliters. I tested 25 times, so this wasn't supported.
Which pill, ADVIL, TYLENOL, and ALEVE dissolves the fastest in lemon juice? Lemon juice representing stomach acid. I thought ADVIL will dissolve the fastest because it was the smallest pill. The results for my project were that TYLENOL dissolved faster than both the ALEVE and ADVIL.
My hypothesis was that green onions will grow faster in soil because there are more nutrients in it. The results showed that the green onions growing in water grew a lot faster than the green onions growing in the soil. My hypothesis was not supported.
My hypothesis was that the granulated sugar would grow a larger sugar crystal. The results were that the granulated sugar grew an average of 6.61 grams, and the brown sugar grew an average of 2.88 grams.
Kidneys are one of the most important organs in the body. They help with the blood and the urine, and are commonly affected by kidney stones, which are calcium oxalate stones. Because lime had the lowest strength remaining after 60 seconds as an average, my hypothesis was supported.
My hypothesis was that cellulose would absorb the most water because I read that it absorbs up to half a cup of water. Fill up a bucket of water, soak for about 3 minutes. My hypothesis was not supported because Magic Eraser absorbed the most.
My hypothesis was that the ketchup will make the most change and make the bread mold the fastest. I'll spread the ketchup, mayonnaise, and peanut butter, each onto 6 1/4 slices of bread, and keep 7 1/4 slices of bread plain. My hypothesis was supported because the ketchup did have the most change. The peanut butter stayed the same, the mayonnaise just turned to blob and didn't really do anything.
My hypothesis was that the blue light will affect sleep by making it shorter. Blue light is what comes out of your screen or device. It turns out that it was true. With blue light, it was about 9 hours, and then without blue light, it was about 9 hours and 45 minutes.
Whether an electric toothbrush or a manual toothbrush was more effective. My hypothesis was that the electric toothbrush would be more effective. I boiled eggs, put them in coffee for 12 hours. The results showed that the manual toothbrush was slightly more effective.
My hypothesis was that in the lime juice, the steel would rust the most because it had the highest pH. My results were the lime juice rusted the most. Water was next, then tomato juice, soapy water, and baking soda.
Which material would insulate boiling water the best? The hypothesis was that fiberglass would be able to insulate the best. The blanket had the best temperature at 92.6 degrees. The blanket was the best insulator, and I think this is because that the blanket absorbed the most heat.
The hypothesis is Coke released more soap with longer opening than Pepsi's shorter bottleneck. The dependent variable of this is the amount of soda left after being testing. But according to the results, Pepsi had less left compared to Coke, so the hypothesis was not supported.
I was able to have 2 different coolers on 2 different PCs, and I would see which one would have the most effect. The best temperature, so the lower the temperature, the better. Conclusion was supported, and that the water cooling IO did do better.
I was testing the structural integrity of different polyhedra: tetrahedron, the octahedron, the cube, dodecahedron, and the icosahedron. How many times their own weight it can hold. Either the tetrahedron, the octahedron, or the cube is where the most thing. Whatever you, well, depending on what you were testing.
The hypothesis was that the use of screens before bed will have a negative impact on a person in the stage of sleep most affected by electronics is light sleep. So that the test subjects that didn't watch electronics before bed, they had a total increase of 53 minutes of sleep. For deep sleep and REM sleep, it was increased for the test subjects when they weren't watching electronics.
This process can be sped up by a catalyst, such as yeast or potassium iodide. And when soap is added to trap all the molecules, water, soap, and air will form foam, which rises out of the beaker looking kind of like toothpaste, so much that it looks like it's enough for an elephant. Potassium iodide being one of the most powerful catalysts in nature and probably best yeast in creating the most foam. The average results of the independent variable are as follows. Potassium iodide had an average more than double of yeast